Hello, everyone. Kyle Constant, Digital Services Librarian at Trails Regional Library again. We're going to be discussing another electronic resource today, and this time we're going to be discussing the Trails website. This will be a little bit of a fast overview of some of the things that are on our website. If you have more questions about things that are not covered in this video, as always, please touch base with me, and I'd be happy to go into more depth. But because there is a lot on there, my anticipation would be that I'll just cover things very briefly and kind of give you an idea where things are and what you can find where, and then encourage you to explore on your own. And if you have more questions, then to please let me know. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this is our homepage, and many of you are probably pretty familiar with this. Up at the top here, we have links to our homepage, the About page for our library, an employment link, and a contact form. About takes you, and I'm going to be opening some new tabs here just to kind of keep things straight in my mind. The About tab takes you to a page that discusses our mission and vision statement, some of our guiding principles, and also in the left talks to you a little bit about the library in different aspects, our history, a little bit more detail about our board of trustees, including current members, as well as board documents, agendas, reports, things like that. A little bit of information about our policies, our Friends of the Libraries groups, Trails Regional Libraries Foundation, any open bids and RFPs that we have, any open employment opportunities that we may have, a library value calculator, and then there's also a link to our locations page. There's maybe one or two of these that would be useful to show you in a little bit more detail. First, we'll look at policies. These are available on the staff side, and I will be showing you a little bit of the staff side of the site as well. But just to show you kind of what patrons can see, they can click on any one of these and they'll be presented with a PDF document of our policies. So just to know where patrons can find this information and that it is available to them, I think is important for our staff. And any one of these can be searched as well without having to log in or be on our staff side. Friends of the Library page, again, just kind of share some basic information. Maybe I should go back and look at our Board of Trustees page and just show you kind of basics of, we usually have this as up to date as possible. You can see the members, their terms, where they're from. Meeting dates are over here. Board reports and the board agenda are in the left bar as well. And then the archived minutes we usually keep about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how dutiful I am in going in and keeping that cleaned out. But we keep them much longer, so if you have patrons that are requesting these minutes, it's public information, so they can certainly request that information from us if they want. We do keep it for quite a while, but we just don't make all of them available on the website. Let's see, the foundation. For those of you who don't know, we have a Trails Regional Library Foundation. It's separate from our Friends group. It's a 501c3 foundation that people can make tax-deductible donations to, and they have their own board, which is listed here on the left, and some of their goals and things like that are here in the middle. Let's see. Bids and RFPs, usually we have, if we have anything available, bids and RFPs might also appear up here in employment. Right now we have a few positions open, and so that's why we kind of swap out employment and bids and RFPs up here. But just so that you know, bids and RFPs and employment opportunities are also in the footer at all times. So if you need a quick link to them, you can always go all the way down to the bottom, and bids and RFPs and employment opportunities are always right there. The library value calculator is a way for patrons to come in and put in different amounts over here, and you can see what the value of their library services are. You can see on a service by service basis if you put in, okay, I borrowed 5 magazines, I borrowed 2 movies, and I attended 3 children's programs. You can see kind of what you're saving uh, by using your library. This is, probably something that you would want to share with patrons if they're, questioning the value of the library and things like that. This is a good promotional tool to show the different things that we do offer. I try to keep this as up to date as possible. But as services change and new things come on and old things kind of drop off, we used to have things like audio cassettes and I think even records on here at one time that we don't offer anymore. So we removed some of those things on here. But anyway, that's a good tool for that sort of thing. Let's see. That covers about employment. Right now, we have positions open. If there are positions open, they will appear in this table and they can click on this to get more information and job documents as PDFs there and information on how people can apply. That's kind of the long and short of that. If we don't have anything available, usually there's just text here that says, we currently have no positions available. Thank you for checking. The last link up here is a contact form. Anyone who has feedback to give us, there are different categories here: general inquiry, requesting items not in catalog, and website feedback. They can send those emails, and generally either Alicia or I will get those and email them back. Okay, so back to the homepage. The next little nav bar here that we have includes things like homepage, quick link to our catalog, our locations, including a locations page. If you click directly on locations, that includes everyone. And then in the drop down, you have individual branch locations as well. So in the branch locations, you can see an image of the branch itself, address, contact information, hours, who the branch manager is, a Google map to the branch, and then a calendar of events that only includes the branch on that page. And then we also do have information about our different service locations, even though they're not considered branches. You can get more information about Leeton and a little bit of a description of what an express branch is. Excuse me, and why we have those versus a full branch in different communities. Online resources, we've gone through a lot of these through our trainings, so I don't think we need to explain a whole lot about what these are. They're just links to different databases and different services that we offer. If you click directly on online resources, you can see our web guide. We do have different categories here, and within each category, there are different resources that we have linked on that subject. So, for instance, we have Chilton, and then we have fueleconomy.gov for automotive. Once they're there, they can switch around from place to place or from category to category by just switching there and clicking apply. And now you can see ebook resources. These can be built out or filled in a little bit more, and categories can be added. If you are interested in doing that, please let me know. The more resources we can provide to our patrons, the better. This next link is for the events page. Up at the top, we have links to our program guide pages, so they can click on either the June or the July 2016 library events pages, and there's also a link for them to sign up to receive the email that includes these documents each month via email rather than having to come back to this page. We also have a calendar of events that includes all the branches and the events that are taking place at those branches, and they're color coded. You can see the description or the explanation of the color codes here, and then a short description of how to use the tools and the controls for the calendar down below. Books, movies, and audio. Again, you have another link to the online catalog. You have a link to recommended reading. This is a resource that that shows not only select reads, which is our email newsletter service that sends out information about different genres, and as well as our staff picks and our events and things like that. But also we have things like library reads, which is a library recommendation, library-based recommendation service. I think it's top 10 books published each month that are picked by librarians across the country. And then we have access to Book Page, that is an online version of the paper copies that we keep at our circulation desks. New materials is just a link into our catalog. The new materials page, that's kind of a carryover from our old site. We had it linked directly to our new materials on the old site, and people really liked that, so we kept that in Books, Movies, and Audio. Downloadable audiobooks and ebooks goes directly to Missouri Libraries to Go. Interlibrary Loan will take you to the page that describes how to place an interlibrary loan request. There's a link here to WorldCat and more description for patrons about how they can submit a request on their own. And then you also have a link to the summer reading program for 2016 that takes you to Read Squared. We do have a couple of different blogs here. We have Read This Book, which is the one that a couple of branches have used in the past to keep people up to date on their book clubs. And then we also have Trail Writing, which is our blog that most of you post to, that concerns programs and news and things like that you all want to share with different people. We also have How Do I, and so that kind of covers some of our frequently asked questions, and it covers in a little bit more detail how you can do each of these things. How can you check into your account? How can you request books and movies? How can you request magazines, find new materials, etc.? And again, this is like a lot of different things on the website. It has to be updated periodically, and to stay up to date with how things are currently done or the services that are currently being provided. We also have links to our social media presences. We have a link to our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, and our YouTube page here, and a link to our email newsletter in the right sidebar that stays there. In the slideshow, I usually try to focus on new events, things that are going on right now, so summer reading, things like that. And if we have any new services, I usually put those in there. You've got some controls down below: previous, pause, and next. And then you can click directly on the slide to go to get more information about any one of these things. Usually I also promote a resource out to the side of the slideshow. So right now we have this here that promotes Freegal. Below that, we have links to the trail writing blog entries, the most recent ones, and a link to Missouri Libraries to Go. Down at the bottom, again, I've got several links here that people have requested over the course of the years that we've used this site, and have requested a little bit easier access to some of the different links that we felt maybe had a few too many clicks to get into previously. So that is the long and short of the public side. Now I'm going to show you real quickly, show you me as I am logging in to the staff side of the account. Look at my keyboard here. I'm logging in, and suppose actually what I should do is, let me go back here real quick, and I'm gonna show you the login page first, and then I'll cut away so I can sign in, just so we can talk a little bit about signing in. Those of you who sign in regularly might might be surprised to know, but I do get quite a few questions about how to sign in as a user. Um, if you have any questions, the link is always at the bottom of the page. If you have any question about your username, your password, I would encourage you to initially talk to your supervisor. They have done this many times. They know how to get into the site to get access to all of the staff features. As well, they also know, they should know how to get more information about your account if you have forgotten. So this is where you would put your username and your password if you have forgotten and can't remember what your username and password are. This is where excuse me, this spot right here that says request new password, that's where you would go. My apologies, I didn't silence my phone. This is where you would click to get that new password generated. So you can either enter your username or your email address. So knowing either one of those will allow you to get into or to have a new password sent to you, and so that's how you would get in if you have forgotten. Again, I'm showing you that primarily because I do get a lot of questions about how do I get in because I can't remember or it's been too long. I know that the habit for some folks is to sign in and just never sign out on your staff machines because the only people that are there are staff, and so there's no harm in, or the thought process is that there's no harm in just leaving yourself logged in. The danger that you do run into in that scenario is the same danger that you run into anytime you remain logged into any service, is that you're going to forget your username and your password if you don't use them. So I'm going to cut back over to the website now. Okay, so then once you've logged in, then it shows you the user account screen, and from here you can edit things. If you want to click on edit, you can come in and change your password if you want to. And this account may have a little bit more privileges than what you're used to, but you can change your password and things like that for the website once you're in here. And then once you're done, you can click save, and you're good to go. Most of the things that you're going to want to know about are in the staff menu. Up here at the top, we have create. When you click on create, and again, this account, I apologize, I should have created an account that was had similar privileges to what you all commonly see. This one actually does have the ability to create bid announcements and open position announcements and things like that. Most of you will not have those options. Most of you will have things like blog entries, book club blog entries, web guide items, and that might actually be it. This one has a little bit more privileges because this is what some of the admin folks are able to do. They can create, Bill can create bid announcements, and then the folks in HR can create open position announcements, and we can all create public documents as well as staff documents and things like that you all can then use on your end, but you just can't create them from scratch. So anyway, but that's what this is for. This create menu is where you would start if you wanted to post something to the blog, or if you wanted to add a web guide item, and that's how you would flesh out some of those subject areas that I showed you earlier in the web guide, to maybe share some of those resources that if you're helping a patron with a reference question or something, and you happen upon what you think is a good resource, then you can create a web guide item that would have a short description and a link to that, and then it would show up in our online resources web guide. There's also a link here to your content, so you can see the things that you have created on your account in the past. So you can come in and see, there are web guide items that this account has created. I don't use this one that often, so it That's why it is the way it is, and the things that it's created are so old. But you can see kind of the basics of what you can do. And some of the edit and delete options over here, again, may not be available to you because some of those privileges are not given out to everybody. We don't want everybody to be able to edit and delete everything that's out there. So some of those things are covered a little bit. But if you do have any questions or you want some of those privileges, feel free to talk to me, and we can figure out how to make that happen. There is also a link to your email, and that just goes directly to the webmail access to Kinetic. I would encourage you to keep track of the address for the webmail access to Kinetic in some way, shape, or form, either with a bookmark or just write it down, whatever makes things easier. Because the reason that I want you to do that is what I showed you earlier, where if you forget your password and your login username for the website, you're not going to be able to get back to this link, because this link is in the staff menu, which doesn't show up unless you're logged in. So you kind of hamstring yourself by not knowing how to get to your email other than clicking on this link here. Okay, so for those of you who don't currently do that, I would really encourage you to keep a bookmark or something written down somewhere of how to get to your email. Changing your password actually requires a different site. It's called MyKinetic, and it will, Kinetic Manager. There's a different service as MyKinetic. You can use your regular email address and password to get in here, and then change your password to something else. I don't think there's a whole lot of other tools in here other than changing your password that's available to most people. I think most of that is only available to Bill, since he's the one that manages our email accounts for us. There is another link here to Interlibrary Loan. It's similar to the one that I showed you earlier that's available to the public. Most of you will not see this page. Most of you will see, let me get logged in here. Most of you will see the search terms. Darn it. What did I say earlier about not using passwords all the time and then forgetting them? There we go. So most of you, if you're within our branches, you're going to see this when you click on the Interlibrary Loan link, because it's going to automatically recognize that you're coming from within our network. You're going to have an IP address that is assigned to one of our machines, and it's going to recognize you and say, okay, come on in. You don't have to sign in. So most of you will go just directly to this screen, and that's where you would go to place interlibrary loan requests. But patrons see this page. Okay, so that was ILL. Next is the Mid-Continent Public Library Book Kits link. For those of you who run book clubs, this is a link to Mid-Continent's page where they actually have kits that they will lend out to other libraries for the purpose of running book clubs. They have currently 327 titles, so there's a lot out there. I would encourage you to use this service, as long as you have advance notice. I think this is a really good resource, and my understanding from the branch managers who have used this, that it's pretty painless to go through this service. Staff documents. Most of you have used this, but I'm going to show you anyway. This is where we house a lot of the forms and a lot of the things that you might need to refer back to. We keep some policy information here. We keep things like petty cash forms, PTO request forms, things like that. Gifts and memorials, incident reports, lots of different things that people need to know, or people need to have access to. Travel expense forms, Zinio flyers, if there are promotional materials that I may have made available to you, those will be on here as well. Guides to different services. There's one that probably ought to go away since we don't have atomic training anymore. I'll have to make a note of that and go back in and get rid of that. As with everything on the website, it has to be really diligently kept up to date, or things like that. And there we have 3 things for transparent language that need to be gotten rid of as well. So this is something that we have really talked about improving upon. It can be rather confusing. One tip that I would give you is that each form has at least one form type, and it can be in multiple form types. If you know what form type you're looking for, um, then you can come over here and choose a form type and apply it, and it will dramatically reduce the number of things that are in on the page. So if you're looking for programming forms, you can click that and apply it, and you can see the list is much shorter. And when we're creating things, we try to assign appropriate categories, appropriate form types to these things so that you can get a good idea of what we have available without having to search the entire list. Again, going back to any, you've got a much longer list. So again, this is something that we have talked several times about improving, and I think it's top of my list for things on the website that could be improved. But that's the gist. The staff training page. Hopefully, many of you have seen this or have seen some of the things that are on this. This is, and this video actually will be up on there very quickly, very soon after I've made it. The top, of course, location is the online resource training, where videos like the one that you're watching right now will live, and the playlist that we're running through this year, it will be featured here for the foreseeable future. I also keep links down here for more net training resources, as well as links to the different resources that we have available. Again, transparent is still here. I could probably safely get rid of those without making things too crazy for you all. There's also some other links down here. You've got Square, interlibrary loan training. So we've got a lot of different resources here on the staff training site that I would encourage you to explore a little bit, and to more familiarize yourself with some of our resources. We hope to also include some things on Listen in the next year that will cover a little bit more of a broad scope of what you guys do on a daily basis. So that's staff training. Staff directory, that covers most of the folks who we have currently employed with us. It is by default sorted by last name, but you can sort by branch, you can sort by first name. And I do want to highlight that we also have expertise out here to the right. So we have, if you're looking for someone who has experience with different types of programming, for instance, or technology, or different things, it would be a good idea to kind of take a look at the staff directory and see who has done some of the things that you're looking for assistance with, and that might be a good way to find someone within the library that can help you out. Select Reads and Read Squared, those are just links directly to those two services. Policies, this is just a link to the staff documents page with policies selected in the form type. So these are also accessible through staff documents. The EAP is our employee assistance program. I just updated this page yesterday because I was going through these and saw that it was a little out of date. There's instructions here on how to access it, but for those of you who don't know, I won't go into a ton of detail, but just for those of you who don't know, we have an employee assistance program that offers a variety of things, counseling, legal assistance, parenting. It's a lot of different things that are available to all employees, and it's really a nice resource, and you really should take a look at it at least to see kind of what's available, because it is kind of a wide variety of things. There's everything from how to draft a will to getting assistance for a family member, or things like that. It's really helpful. It can be very helpful, and it is absolutely free to staff. So take advantage of that. And if you need more information about it, please contact HR or your supervisor. TimeStation is just a link to TimeStation. So if you need to log in to check your hours or to get clocked in of a morning, if you've been using the website for that, that's a link that can take you there. Payroll portal. This is where you can get your stub, your pay stub, and your W-4s and things like that. This is where you can go to log in there. If you need your login information, obviously I'm not going to do that in this video that's going to be up on YouTube, but you can contact your supervisor or HR, and they can help you get started there. Loggers portal. Again, I'm not going to log in, but this is where those of you who are eligible for loggers can sign in and calculate your defined benefit plan for that we currently have available. They actually have some really interesting tools in there that you can use to even myself, who I'm nowhere near retirement, I can go in and kind of speculate. Okay, this is kind of roughly when I want to retire, and this is kind of roughly what I think I'll be making at that time, and it will kind of do some calculations for you to tell you, okay, if you follow that plan, here's what your defined benefit is, monthly benefit is going to be. So that's kind of handy. It's nice to know that loggers is there, but it's also really useful to have some concrete numbers to kind of go through and see kind of how ready you are. The Voya portal is, we used to have ING. They were either merged or just changed their name to Voya. And again, can't log into this in a public video, but if you need more information about how to access this, contact your supervisor or HR, and you can get more information about your contributions, how your account stands currently, and make some changes to your account. The work order system. Those of you who have access to the work order system, you can log in here and make work orders for anybody in the technology or facilities departments, and request that they take care of a job for you. There's a link here for our the Trails Twitter account. I'll go into in another video a little bit more depth about how to log in there and use that. The programming blog, again, if you need more information, contact one of the programmers in virtually any of the branches. My understanding is that most of you have access to that. Contact one of them, and they can share that information with you. And it's not going to let me log into that because I'm not logged into my Google account. Anyway, you do need a Google account to access it, but once you have that, then somebody can walk you through getting established on there. I don't currently have a link here to the Facebook group. I'm not sure that I have access to the Facebook group that the programmers are using right now, but if any of you feel like that would be a useful link, please feel free to send me that, and I will add that. Account just takes you right back to the page that I showed you at the very beginning when you sign in, and then log out will allow you to log out. Don't worry about the DADS menu. That's directors and assistant directors menu. They have a separate menu because they have the ability to see and do a few things that the rest of the staff do not. So this is how you would log out, and it takes you back to the homepage. And that is, again, kind of the long and short of that resource. Hopefully this has shown you a little bit more about the website than you knew before. Hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable with it. And again, if you have any questions at all about any of the resources that I've shown you, or if you need more information about getting signed in, again, I get those questions a lot. Don't be shy. Let me know. But again, I would encourage you to combat that sort of thing, to use it frequently, or to keep track of it in some other way. Use what works for you. I'm not going to say you have to have a notebook, you have to use a service. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do. If you want advice or tips or suggestions, please feel free. I do have those available, but I don't want to dictate to anybody what you have to do. But it's just a good idea in general to keep your usernames and passwords straight. But that's the long and short of the website. I hope to, again, I mentioned this in the last video, I hope to knock out a few more of these so that everybody can get their training done for the year relatively soon. We're drawing to the close of the first year. So I will be doing another one of these relatively quickly, and I will see you on that one. Thank you.